Hey guys, it's Zach. Hope you all are doing well. I revisited the Galaxy S7 Edge 1 year after it came out. Then I did it again a year after that, and here I am thinking, why not do it again? It's been a little over 4 years. So the S7 Edge is easily one of my favorite phones ever. I mean, from the upgraded specifications, the polished design, to the addition of pretty much every feature Samsung could possibly stuff into this thing, this phone was awesome. Of course, it wasn't a perfect phone, but at the time, it was one of the best to come out that year. I think it goes without saying that the S7 Edge, especially in this color, is easily one of the most attractive smartphones of all time. I love it, and in my eyes, this is a design that still stands out in 2020. With pretty much every phone becoming as bezel-less as possible, there's something special about the Edge's chin and forehead combination, at least in this color. Longtime viewers of the channel have definitely seen this one before. I've used it a lot in my videos, and there's probably like one of you that remembers the video where I unboxed this thing for the first time. This is the model with the Snapdragon processor that I got from T-Mobile. And I guess since we're talking about the processor, we might as well get into the specs. You guys ready for some 2016 numbers? Samsung released the S7 Edge in March of 2016. Yeah, they released it with a 5.5-inch 2560 by 1440 Super AMOLED display, complete with a 16:9 aspect ratio, 534 pixels per inch, a 60 Hz refresh rate, Gorilla Glass 4, and my favorite, a 76.1 screen to body ratio, which is just funny to think about. It also came with a Snapdragon 820 processor, or Exynos 8890 depending on which one you got, Adreno 530 GPU, 4 gigs of RAM, 32 gigabytes of storage in the base model with a micro SD card slot of course, a rather large 3600 mAh battery. The phone was dust and water resistant too, IP68 to be exact. It came with wireless charging, a fingerprint reader housed inside the home button, physical home button, which was flanked by capacitive back and recent apps buttons. It came with the good old heart rate monitor. The phone charged via micro USB, and yeah, I know you see it. Yep, I don't even have to say it. And lastly, the phone came in a pretty wide variety of colors, and it dropped for a little under $800 depending on where you picked it up. So, what's it like using the S7 Edge in 2020? Well, it's actually a little surprising. So I popped my SIM card in and I used it as my main phone for a bit. Now, the first thing that stood out to me was just how crisp and clean this display is. I guess I kind of forgot just how beautiful it is. The phone itself is a nice size too. I love big phones and all, but I liked going back to a regular size and I didn't have to do that little shimmy that we have to do with bigger phones. This one's really comfortable. Normal everyday use went pretty much as expected, with noticeable slowdown and stutters. The phone got warm pretty quickly, the battery life took a significant hit, all that stuff. I even had to factory reset this one because it just wasn't really cooperating with me after I pulled it out of the drawer for the first time in a while. But honestly, it was very usable, especially after that factory reset. It was a little frustrating at times, no doubt, but still, it was totally usable. Even the fingerprint reader was solid, and it read my fingerprint more often than not. I really didn't have a problem adjusting to it. Now, of course, I'm very, very spoiled by these monstrous phones with dang near 7-inch displays with 120 Hz refresh rates, with tons of RAM and tons of storage, amazing cameras, and much more powerful processors, but I will admit, the S7 Edge is a phone that I could kind of see myself using indefinitely.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Now, will I? Of course not, but I think I could.
What?
Alas, the headphone jack and the design couldn't save this phone from, well, a number of things. The speaker was one of those things. Yes, that single bottom firing speaker, which did not sound great at all. It's tinny, it lacks bass, and you could cover it up oh so easily. I am so glad we are past this speaker setup. Unless, of course, you know, we're talking about the recent Galaxy S10 Lite. Software longevity is another one. This is a typical Samsung thing. As for security patches, I actually just got a notification with the security patch for December 2019, so 3.5 years of security updates, not bad. But the phone is stuck on Android 8.0 with Samsung Experience version 9, so no One UI, which is pretty disappointing to be honest. Another thing, the phone is fragile. Not only did my other S7 Edge shatter a bit from a small drop, but from what I remember, this phone was notorious for display issues. I'm talking dead pixels, pink lines, burn-in, stuff like that. It's pretty unfortunate. Anyway, of course, it wouldn't be a revisit without taking a look at some pictures taken with the phone, so here you go. Just a couple shots I took, and well, they're not bad. Shout out to channel sponsor Dbrand for those skins that you see on some of my other Galaxy phones. I even have my Exynos Edge, still skinned up as well. Link below. Obviously, 4 years later, we get much better results out of the phones that we have now. Not only that, but most phones nowadays have multiple lenses with different focal lengths for more versatility, but honestly, these shots aren't bad and they're totally usable for things like social media. In 2016, the S7 had a top 2, top 3 camera, putting it right up there with the likes of the iPhone, the Pixel 1, and if I remember correctly, the HTC 10 and the LG G5 were up there as well. So that's the S7 Edge in 2020, a great phone for its time that honestly held up a lot better than I thought it would a little over 4 years later. Of course, the question still remains, is the S7 Edge worth picking up in 2020? Well, maybe. Actually, I kind of think it is.
What?
But there are some conditions. But before I get to those, some of you are probably wondering, why the heck would you want to pick one of these up in 2020? It's a good question, especially since there are tons of other really good phones that are very inexpensive. Well, for whatever their reasoning may be, there are still people out there buying the S7 Edge on the used market. Now, I've seen them online for under $100 in a number of different spots, so I don't think you'll have an issue finding one. But if you do decide to pick one up, and here are those conditions, I would say buy the Exynos model, because in my experience, it's faster, it's snappier, there's less lag, and battery life is better as well. Now, if you do go the Snapdragon route, I'd really only get one if you plan on rooting it and flashing a custom ROM. To me, it would make little to no sense for you to get one without that being part of the plan. The Galaxy S7 Edge was an overall winner 4 years ago. It was Samsung's big step forward in design language, and it made for what is still to this day a rather striking design. It was a favorite of mine then, it still is now, and I'm sure it always will be. But what do you guys think of the Galaxy S7 Edge 4 years later? Let's go ahead and talk about it in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you'll be notified for when I post a new video. It's been Zach, I'll talk to you guys later, and thank you so much for watching.